lives that you follow, make your lives as Christ on his life, and yet not forgiveness to people who turn their lives on God and who truly repent God, but you still have the right to kill them. Like, isn't that God's responsibility? Like, if they were meant to die, they could have.
Because I believe because God delegated the sword to the state. That's the role of the state to execute evildoers, in particular cases like murder, rape, kidnapping, those things got legislated.
So how far does that go, though, with letting the government, people with God's sword, control things? Because a lot of governments are extremely corrupt, and a lot of governments prohibit people and put money over people's quality of life. And how far do we go before we say, okay, give us God's sword back? I mean, you can't just rely on government because they're out for, mostly for profit and for the power, and most of them are wealthy white men, and you have no grounds to stand on. And when you say, even especially if you're a black Christian woman, when you say like we want the sword back, and we as people, even if everyone's whole country was Christian, we just didn't believe that the government was serving us correctly, then we just got to take that back. And if so, you tell us we can take that back. Or maybe it was not in it.
No, in fact, all the founders, last time we did it in this country was 1776, and when we threw out Britain and their tyranny.
Right, but in doing that, we also persecuted all the Native American people.
Well, that's open debate, but it's open debate. They teach you about all the atrocities that supposedly the Christians committed against the Indians. By the way, my wife's 25% Cherokee. But anyways, they never talk about...
Secretary for both of those Native Americans.
The Indians committed many atrocities against the Christian white people in this country. Many, but you're not taught about that. You're only taught about what certain people want you to know.
No, actually, I was taught about Christopher Columbus and how wonderful he was, but in reality, we took these people who were living one with the earth that had a completely they tread it very lightly. They kept
everything. You actually believe that?
I do believe that. They lived here for thousands and thousands of years and no damage done to the land.
You know what they did around Smithtown? This is how they would execute white people, the Indians would. They would take them and they would tie them to a pole. They would let the women and the children come out and begin to peel their flesh off using hot pokers. After they did that, they began to cut off their genitals and other pieces of their body, and it would take the prisoner 3 days to die.
The Christian church
of course, you never
and lit them on fire, Well, how is like my skin and blisters popping off my body being burned because I'm a witchback in Salem by Christians? How is that any different? It's still painful, and we still execute people today.
Well, what about, let's not talk about, you can add up all the so-called atrocities, or the atrocities that church people committed down through the years. You know what? The number comes probably to about 80 to 120,000 people. Do you take this last you take this last century that just passed, and the humanists, the statists, the communists, the socialists executed literally tens of millions of people in a 100-year period, whereas the church killed 80 to 120,000 in about 1,000 years.
What about pre-Columbian culture? We're talking all the way down. And people came over. There was more than 120,000 people in this continent. And they.
No.
It wasn't even just at our hands like we came in and actually just like, bang, you're human, and so we're going to kill you. It was everything that we did that we brought. We brought the diseases over, and we completely screwed them over. We hurt them. What right did we have to come and take us over?
There was a nation of people here.
There was a nation of people living.
There was many nations.
They're feeling sentient beings just like
one nation.
We are.
They were living, and then we decided that not we, but the culture that came over at that time, that isn't my culture, decided that would be the land then for them instead of those people that happen to be living there.
Well, you know what?
Because of what? Because of their code of God, that they have the right to disturb someone else's home.
When Cortez...
I can come into your home then if my God is more important than yours to me, right?
Well,
and that's cool.
When Cortez came into Mexico... By the way, I was in Mexico City. I got to see where Cortez lived. I got to see where the last Aztec chief lived. They're still standing today. The building's incredible. No, this is in Mexico City. Guadalajara. What's that? Anyways, When Cortez came in, he didn't start the fight with the Aztecs. The Aztecs started the fight with him. And when Cortez returned with his men to fight the Aztecs, you know who helped him fight the Aztecs? All the other Indian tribes in the area. You know why? Because the Aztecs would take people and make prisoners out of them and then execute them. Every day they were executing people.
Actually, it was called they would have wars.
And so the other Indian tribes viewed Cortez the Christian as the great liberator.
And that's not true because
yeah, they did.
Well, because they had wars. Other tribes would fight one another solely for the purpose of capturing prisoners, and they would put those prisoners who weren't their own people to death in the flowery death. And I'm not saying that that's right. I'm just saying that it wasn't just.
But it's not as bad as the white Christian people the way they did.
But we still infringed on their rights and came into their land and took that away from them. And I can't say you. Okay.
After the Aztecs, everything you quoted is absolutely correct. And I guess what my comment to this is that history is recorded by the winners. History is recorded by the winners. That's what you learn from. So what you're saying is both true and misleading, as in the Aztecs were extremely sacrificial people. They did. Ooh, that was very disrespectful. I'll apologize for her.
We'll do it when we get in the car.
Yeah, right. We have a party we're missing because of this. But to go further though, you ended where you would like your point to end. After that, and to tell you the very truth, I'm in history right now, and we are literally studying this as we speak, which is the reason I can speak so thoroughly on it. That one of the reasons it was very easy for the Christians who were coming over, the missionaries, to find natives to revolt against the Aztecs is because they were treated so poorly. However, they did not know that they would be treated just as poorly and enslaved and maybe not through religious right sacrificed, however, at the same hand of the people that they were helping, thinking that they were getting rid of the one oppressor, not realizing that it was actually simply just another oppressor that they were helping. That in a different rite, maybe it wouldn't be for religious sacrifice, they were being persecuted, but that indeed they were still going to be the underlings and slaves of that society.
Well, which would you prefer? Being bound and gagged and put on a stone and executed?
Or being told that my culture is absolutely totally wrong and that I was going to hell if I didn't believe another culture, and that they enslaved me anyways and just take all of my resources? Well, to tell you the truth, I think I'd like it quick instead of living the rest of my life like that. And that, I guess, the other thing that I had to say was that goes right off of that, which is understanding of other culture, which we touched on a little earlier, talking about diversity.
Well, then you must be for capital punishment,
understanding,
too, rather than being locked in a cage the rest of your life.
Oh, I think it's the reason that I'm not for capital punishment. One of the reasons is because even after being repented, I believe you feel that guilt, and that it is much harder to live the rest of your life with the guilt that you have, knowing what you have done to someone else, especially after you understand and you care about what you did to someone, than it is to me. You're giving them the easy way out by letting them by letting them be killed. But that's not something. But that through the understanding of culture, what you can quote about the Native Americans as well, as history is recorded by the winners, in this case by the whites, actually worldly by the whites, white Christians. We can't look and see what was done to them too, because we didn't even properly understand the cultures that we were walking into. And as a matter of fact, we never tried to understand them. All we did is come in and tell them they were wrong, tell them we were right, and if they opposed what we were saying, as any culture will do after living very happily on their own for thousands of years before that, if they bucked up against us, we did not let them keep their, we would imprison them, we would kill them.
Many of them were not living happily.
And we would
they joined in with the white man in order to fight off their oppressors here in this country.